Stay tuned for today's episode of Two Guys on a Porch, and we're going to spend time with Chris Nischan. And one of the things we've learned from Chris over the years is vulnerability among men breeds strength. And we've all had an opportunity to experience both of those. So stick around for today's taste of Russell's Reserve and time with Chris Nischan.
Welcome to Two Guys on a Porch. I'm Jason. This is my buddy Bradford. As always, we have my hunting dog Kim with us today on the porch. Bradford and I have been sitting on the porch for decades, always with a glass filled with some brown water, flavored with a flavor of friendship and a fellowship stick. Here, talking about life. Sometimes we figure out stuff. Mostly we don't, but we always have a good time doing it. So come join us on our porch. We have a special guest today. I think you're going to enjoy this episode.
You know, this is the first time we've had a repeat guest, Jason. And we welcome back Chris Nischan.
Does that make him smart or dumb? What's the conclusion you come from this?
It'll make us smart. I don't know about him. Coming
Fair
back to
enough.
join us may not be a good idea.
Chris is a unique character in life, and so there's never a dull moment with Chris. And so yes, I would deem him favored guest status.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Favored guest status.
So Chris Nischan, to formally introduce him, Chris Nischan was on a previous episode, one of our first episodes in season 1. So you have to go back and watch that. It was, but we were buddies. We're more yucking it up more this time. Today we're back with Chris to learn more about him this time. Chris Nischan, famous hunting and fishing guide. So thank you for coming on, Chris.
Wow. I appreciate the invitation. Famous. I thought that was spelled infamous.
Infamous. I'm sorry.
That's how that
I
was
misspoke
spelled.
there. My bad.
I'm not quite the scholar you two are, but thank you.
We're legends in our own minds.
We all three are legends in our own minds then.
And, you know, just to touch on what we're drinking today, and we really can't. We're probably obligated by some rule you have as a contracted employee of the Campari Group. Is that right? Yeah, Campari, which owns Wild Turkey. That's what we have to drink, Wild Turkey products.
Well, don't look at it like you have to.
That is
It
true.
is a privilege that you get to do.
Indeed.
Well, and
Love
not
Wild
only
Turkey.
that,
Yeah.
you have brought us something really special to drink. Talk about what you've brought us to try today.
You know, I'll tell you, it's the Russell's Reserve 15-year. A buddy of mine saw the first episode that I was on, the one with the turkey mask. We're talking hunting. And I had mentioned that I really wanted to try one. So lo and behold, for that Christmas, he said, "You don't get a country ham this year. I want you to have this."
Wow,
and
that
I
is a
pulled
buddy.
it out, and I been holding this bottle out. I've been trying to knock the bottom of it out, but since Jason hasn't had any and you haven't had any, I thought
It's a rare time that we have a bourbon that we have not had before. So thank you for bringing this.
Well, I cheated, Jason,
Oh,
because, you know, Chris, you broke your leg last fall.
yeah,
And you and I hung out on your back porch. It was
on
different.
my back porch.
You've been stepping out on me.
Yeah, it was different. Two guys on a porch having a cigar, and we pulled that out.
Yeah, we did.
And
We
got to
actually
try
did.
it. And I love the fact that you've got Jimmy Russell's signature on there.
One of the times I went up to do a seminar with them, I handed him the bottle and he said, "Oh," and I said, "Would you mind signing this?" So I have every one of their expressions at home with his signature, and this is the only one that I've tapped into. The
Really?
others you can buy at a store.
Yeah.
This one you can't. So
this one's legendary. So it's a good one if you have to pick one to tap, this is the one.
Yeah, and I think there were 80,000 bottles produced. I don't think there were that many put on sale, but from the barrels they selected, the math seems to suggest that that's how many they ended up with. And yeah, we're really excited to taste that today. We're going to blind this with the 10-year. Again, something you mentioned you can just buy on a shelf.
10 years Russell.
Yeah, the Russell's Reserve 10-year. Same mash bill. You've got a little different aging, obviously, the 10 and the 15, and a little different price point. So it's about $45 to buy a 10-year.
Yeah.
And have you seen what the secondary market is for this 15-year, Chris?
At the time, it was like, I've listened to y'all and you say that prices are down, but at the time it was given to me. It was like $700 a bottle.
It's $900 right now.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well,
That's right there with the old Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
19-year-old Fitzgerald. That's pricey. Yeah.
Well, I have learned a lot I listen to the podcast when I'm traveling back and forth hunting and fishing more than watch.
Well, thank you.
I've learned a lot. I now know what mash bills are. I know what to look for. I know that Bradford doesn't have much of a nose. Jason has descriptions. So
He
Wow.
makes them up. He makes them up.
We're supposed to be the critics here, and look at you. This is what friends are for, right here. Yeah,
Absolutely.
A good friend's the one that says, "Hey, you got burger on your nose," right? So yeah. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that, buddy.
don't worry, Bradford. You still got hair. So.
Not much. Not much.
Me neither. But anyway, I'm sure you all didn't have me on to talk about personal traits.
Well, and I know you're accustomed to smoking Cuban cigars. You have an opportunity to travel there. You talked about the last time you were on. Today, we've had to step down and only smoke the 1964 anniversary series Padrones. And this is their pyramid. And what is distinctive about it, I was going to say special, is it's the shape. It's more of a bell end with a narrow top, and that's what we're smoking today. It's an excellent cigar.
See, I would have called that a rectangle, but
It doesn't sound as good as pyramid.
Well,
no, it doesn't.
That and it's not a rectangle.
I actually stopped by the.
Well, there is that.
See, that's why you're a neurosurgeon.
Don't let facts get in the
a-
way of a good story.
I stopped by. I know a lot of people that watch and listen don't live around here, but I stopped by the Franklin store the other day after hearing
At
Monty.
Mission Cigar?
Yeah, at Mission Cigar, and walked into their cigar room, and I told them I'm not walking out with the 50th anniversary, but I am taking a trip to Africa to go tiger fishing, and I'm going to carry a couple of those friendship sticks over there to enjoy.
I didn't
and
think-
this is a great cigar.
Chris, I didn't think big cats like to be in the water.
They don't, but this is called a tiger fish because it has giant teeth and stripes on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
How
but
big
anyway,
do they get?
Yeah.
How big do they get?
Well, there's several kind. The ones I'm fishing for get up to about 30 pounds. There's one called the Goliath, which really gets large, but we're not fishing for those.
Are you
And I'll
going-
be fly fishing for
I
them.
was about to say you're going to fly fish.
Fly
right,
fish.
right,
Yeah, it's what I choose to do.
Right, sure.
It's
Makes it
not
more
the only
challenging,
way.
yeah.
I just like it.
Can you eat them?
I'm sure somebody has.
I think they have a
You
lot
can
of bones
eat
in them.
anything,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
I
you-
don't know if it would taste good.
Okay. Yeah.
But piranha, they're surprisingly good. We've eaten piranha together before, and it's
Piranha are
Really?
fantastic.
excellent.
Oh, they are great. They're one of my favorite fish.
Well, better to eat them than have them eat you.
100%. You got that right. I don't think I want to go by being eaten by a fish.
No.
Chris, we've referenced a little bit of what you do now, as a hunting and fishing guide. And by the way, just a reminder, if you didn't see a previous episode, the first winner of Field and Stream Outdoorsman.
Lucky me.
That's pretty significant. And you had a television show at one time called Tennessee Wildlife?
Tennessee's Wild Side.
Wild Side. So we want to hear about kind of your wild side as a
my
Tennessee
wild
boy
side.
back in the day.
Well, to steal a phrase, I was whiskey bent and hell-bound, but not really. I was different.
Yeah, walk us through a little bit. What I'm curious about is kind of as you were sowing some wild oats as a young man, some of these milestones that hit along the way that shook you a little bit, woke you up, made you reflect and think, something needs to change. Not that it all happened at one time, but I'm curious what some of those things might have been.
Well, a very brief story. I got a phone call today from the Davidson County Sheriff's Department. Sir, you missed your appointment for the
jury
grand
duty?
jury.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, bud. He goes, I don't appreciate your attitude. And I said, well, guess what? I'm getting ready to go drink bourbon, smoke cigars, and I'm going to drive home. So you can find me if you want. And I hung up on him.
Well, good, because that was a scam.
It was a scam.
Yeah.
It was a scam.
I've gotten that call, too.
But, like everybody else, for whatever reason, when I was young, we all looked for something. And I craved attention. I was somewhat overweight, and I was told I was overweight and I was no good. And so I kind of turned into a class clown. I remember one time I put pencil shavings on my face and hid under a desk. And when I came out, I was bouncing around with black all over me. And, just doing goofy kid stuff, and that led into worse things. I was searching. I mean, I had great parents, didn't have the best relationship all the time with them. I probably would have drowned me in a bathtub as a young child, but thankfully they didn't.
Well, and I know you'd mentioned you'd had someone older who introduced you to hunting, and that was a saving grace to a degree.
That is absolutely true. I had a friend who's no longer with us. His name was Raleigh Lane.
Yep.
And Raleigh took me dove hunting, and I'd already kind of liked fishing, but I had no outlet for it. My parents didn't fish.
Your dad was a golfer.
My dad was a golfer, and he went to work for the National Life Insurance Company. And I knew how to cast a rod a little bit, didn't have anywhere to go, so I'd fish in any piece of water I could. And so Raleigh took me hunting. He had daughters that weren't interested in hunting at the time. And I found a new channel for me. I was a golfer, a tennis player, a very good swimmer. After I grew up, I leaned out a little bit.
Yep.
Now I've gone the other way, as you can tell. But I went, wow, my eyes were open. And, I'm a firm believer that God has his own timing, and he reached out and put his hand on me and pointed me in a direction. And I knew that I could be delinquent and head down the wrong road, or I had these great mentors friends that would take me hunting and talk to me and take me fishing, and I could still play golf with my dad and still be around people. And it swung the other way. I used to have friends that would say, gosh, all you talk about now is hunting and fishing. So I've had to learn how to balance that a little bit.
So would you say then that you were hunting, fishing wasn't a sustenance thing for you? It was almost a defining moment of like, hey, this is who I am. This is my, for lack of a better word, identity. You found, like, you were rebelling, couldn't figure out where your place in this world was, to steal Michael W. Smith's line. But you found your place in the world with hunting, fishing, and that really it's something that really clicked with you.
100%. You put it in a lot better way than I could. God has always, ever since then, I'm not looking for signs, but God has always spoken to me when I'm outside or when, I'm watching people in the outdoors. And that's what led to me being a hunting and fishing guide. And there have been significant moments of my life. I remember praying once saying, God, I don't know if I should do this or not. I'm kind of like being in charge of my life. I don't know if I'm ready to commit to you or not, and I don't want to be sent to the mission field, and I don't want to have to wear sackcloth and ashes just because,
Yeah.
you know, I belong to you. And, you know, I wish you'd give me a sign. A red fox within 10 seconds popped out.
Not Red Fox the comedian.
Not Red Fox the comedian, although that would have been pretty awesome. Elizabeth, honey, I'm coming home soon. No, a red fox popped out on this rock, and I was across a small pond, and that red fox stared me down. How he knew I was there, I don't know. Smell probably, but that red fox stared me down, and I sat up and looked at that red fox, and it never moved, and I went, okay, that's my sign. It's time. You know, I'm not giving up anything in life by, you know, I mean, this isn't what the podcast is about, but by committing my life to Christ and letting mostly God choose my path. And he made my life in the outdoors the most rich life you can ever have. He said, okay, you're going to be a hunting and fishing guide.
You know,
And-
I don't know how long I've known you. 15, 20 years now.
At least.
I've never heard that story.
It's not one. I told it once to an audience, and everybody started telling me, oh, well, the fox was this and it was that. And I said, look, you know, it's a personal thing between
Yeah.
me and.
Well, it was life-changing.
Whether it was an accident, which I don't believe in accidents.
Right.
But it was 100% life-changing.
And how old were you when that happened?
I was, I believe, 17.
Oh, okay.
I had been to church all my life, you know, thought I knew all the answers, and had a parent that was constantly beating me over the head with the Bible.
Figuratively.
And I didn't like what I saw, and then, you know, it can be different.
Yeah.
And my parents are both different. I'm different. I have a wonderful family. And,
Well, speaking of differences,
uh-oh.
I have tried both of these Russell's Reserve. You've got the other glass sitting beside you.
Okay.
Um,
I didn't know
And we
I
don't
was allowed
know, to
drink.
clarify to the audience,
Yeah, this is blind for
it's
us.
blind. We know they're both Russells. We don't know which one's the 10 and which one's the 15. And like
Bet I
Alanis
do.
Morissette had, you know, Rain on Your Wedding Day,
Oh.
Fly in My Chardonnay. I've got fruit fly in my bourbon. So
Hope he doesn't drink much.
yeah, hope he doesn't drink much. A little extra protein. You know, here on the porch out in the country, gotta get used to bugs sometimes. So I've got a fruit fly in my bourbon, but I'm gonna take one for the team if I can't fish them out here. So yeah, but I can tell you, this is an easy test. The second one.
I agree
Yeah, this is-
100%.
this
yeah, I mean this is
I haven't even had a sip.
the nose and more specifically the coloration. You can tell that extra aging. I wouldn't think, you know, just 5 years extra. 10 years is not young, right? A lot of, you know, straight whiskey is 2 years, bourbon's 4 years. This is the Russell's 10 is 10 years old.
Well, and to be clear, this is the same juice as any wild turkey. It's
Right.
their standard mash bill, 75% corn, 13% rye. The remainder is malted barley. I couldn't do math that fast in my head to say what it was. The 10-year is selected barrels that become Russell's Reserve as opposed to wild turkey. And the 15 are selected barrels that are aged for 5 more years. And so we really are talking same juice with a different outcome. And it's remarkable the difference between these. Now, we don't have a wild turkey expression to taste to compare, but the 10-year I tasted and I thought, well, that's pretty good.
yeah. So and just make sure.
And
we're
we
on the
could be
same page.
word. We're talking.
Yeah, we're talking.
We're not wrong.
Sometimes
We're
right,
not
sometimes
wrong.
wrong, never know. But the first one we tasted was the 10-year.
Yes.
It's lighter in color, lighter on everything. It's a
Yes.
very almost would think it's a less proof, but presumably it's the same proof.
It is less proof.
It is less proof?
Yeah.
Okay. So while you're looking at that, I love that 10-year. It's very approachable, very light. But when you go up to that 15, you get that full mouth feel It goes everywhere in your mouth. It's got still a little bit better nose, stronger mid palate, but the finish is what really turns it out. It really comes out in that full mouth feel. I can taste that rye in there. You may not like that, but it's got a little spice to it. No burn. It's not a burning whiskey, but man, it's a smooth sipping whiskey that's complex, full mouth. Almost a little bit of charcoal like a Jack Daniels. I know it's not charcoal filtered, but it has that barreling, I guess, in there. It really brings out the caramel in it, the smoke. It's very good.
Yeah, the 10-year is a 90 proof. The 15 is 117.2, but it doesn't drink hot at all.
No, wow. I wouldn't have guessed.
Now,
I would have guessed 100%.
Let's confirm that we're right before we move on.
Yeah,
so,
Huff Daddy says we are right.
You are right.
Well, Blonde Pig finds an acorn every now and then.
Right.
So.
Well, I will say that I love y'all's description. Honestly, with this 15, I enjoy smelling it as much as I do drinking.
No, I agree. I usually don't pick up a lot on the nose.
I don't know why.
That's
like a catcher's mitt over there.
Yeah, thank you. But to the degree that Jason has a better ability to pick up things on the nose, I do not. But you're right, man. The first thing I noticed was just that richness of oak and caramel on there. Man, it's exceptional.
By the way, I give you permission to fire back. I apologize. We are actually really good friends. But I guess this is what good friends do on
We're
a porch.
all friends on the porch.
Yeah, I'm used to you mocking me in some way or another, hence my dismissiveness of it.
Well, that's what people that feel inferior tend to do. We
Mock others?
Yeah, mock others.
I was going to say,
because it makes us somehow feel like we're on the same level.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, wow, that 15 is good.
Yeah,
it is good.
It's a huge, like, I'm not going to drink the 10-year anymore. I'm just going to stick with this 15.
Please do.
And I appreciate you sharing. That is generous of you.
Oh, well, I've had more than my share. Not today, but more than my share. So if you want to take that home, you're more than welcome.
Oh, no, we wouldn't do that. What reason would I have to come visit you again?
Well, I absolutely, and I got to say, that was superior. You saying, look, I know you're wounded still. Hey, how about I just come sit on the porch with you? And, I had inferior cigars, but we smoked cigars and we drank whiskey on the porch and my porch, and that was a blast.
Well, and I thought so too, but I will tell you both that it's always a little awkward for me because, Jason, I do this to you all the time. I'll call and say, hey, can I come over and taste and drink and, and hang out? And I'm inviting myself to your place rather than waiting for an invitation. But I think because we've been friends for long enough, there's a freedom in being able to do that. And I think conversely, there's a freedom for you guys to say, no, it doesn't work. I'm busy or whatever. But more times than not, there's an opportunity to get together.
I think that you hit on something. That's we were talking earlier, what's a sign of a good friend? A good friend is one who can invite himself over to your house, and it's not an imposition. And moreover, you can deny it without any hurt feelings. They can invite themselves. You can, welcome that. And if that's a sign of a good friend there.
Absolutely. I would think by the fourth time of being turned down that you might think, uh-oh, we need to readjust our relationship here. But no, I loved it. I absolutely do.
Yeah, I did too. That was a good time.
I always tell people, if you can escape life, you've got to be kind to others. But if you escape life with 5 good friends that you would, as I call it, to steal something from Tom Kelly, who wrote masterful books on the art of turkey hunting, if you can escape life with 5 or 6 friends that are willing to get on the handles of your coffin and carry you, you've accomplished something. And,
Indeed, yeah.
you know, so having close friends, you know, I've got lots of great acquaintances, but having close friends that you can do that with, there's nothing better.
Well, and I think I said this the last time you and I and Jason were on the porch together, that first time you and I spent any time together was going to visit our mutual friend Robbie Hendrick. And man, you just were so open about your past, your life, and we barely spent any time together. But that gave permission to really be open and vulnerable myself, and I appreciate and respect that.
Well, you know, it doesn't work in one direction.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm much appreciative of that. I think, you know, based on where we are and our time on the porch right now, we want to come back and explore a little bit about where you are now. We talked a little bit about your youth and how you got to the point where you felt like God was calling you to do what you did professionally, but to explore that in more depth. And so we want to do that on the next episode. Thanks for agreeing to join us for that one. And stay tuned for the next episode of Two Guys on a Porch.
Come back and see us for part 2. Come back.
Please like and subscribe, rate, all the stuff you do on all the social media platforms. Thanks, guys.
Let us know what your drink and cigar of choice is at twoguysonaporch.com, and you'll be entered into a drawing to get some Two Guys on a Porch swag